Good evening. I want to welcome you to Burn Babylon Burn, where we discuss the news of the week. My name is Ando. My pronouns are irrational and repugnant. I am a man. I am wearing sunglasses and a brown diesel automatic t-shirt and an InfoWars Save the Frogs hat, and I'm in a truck at the Texas-Mexico border.
Hello, my pronouns are Your Majesty, Your Highness. I am wearing a black t-shirt created by Hudson Baldwin Trading Company, a black hat created by Hudson Baldwin Trading Company with the little tear on it, symbolizing the dang it, I messed this thing up already, but it's all fun. But this is symbolizing the tears of the oppressed, basically. The tears of the oppressed.
And the reversal of the pyramid with the all-seeing eye atop it, reversing it to people power and the elite on the bottom where they belong, being our compost. Instead of the other way around.
See, Ando's got the message of my T-shirts that I sold him a year and a half ago better than I did.
Yeah, I was trying to sell it to other people at the event as well. That was fun. I just got back from Florida, and what a wonderful, beautiful place. I was wearing an InfoWars T-shirt around town, and I got stopped by random people, and they're like, "Oh, cool, Alex Jones was right. I agree." And I'm like, "Yes, Florida's awesome. It is our hope. It is a wonderful place."
Well, and
thank you, King DeSantis. Thank you.
To me, I just see it as a forerunner for the forerunner state of Alabama. We're not far behind in the sentiment in Alabama. The Alabama sentiment is right behind the Florida Senate or Senate.
Yeah, Alabama's like the kid sitting behind the good student copying his notes. He's like, "Oh yeah, definitely."
No, I personally think Alabama was the one that had it right first, but they just weren't too proud about it. They didn't yell about it. They didn't scream about it. Florida was the one that got the message, and they were just like, "Hey, we're dropping California. We're not trying to be California anymore. Fuck that shit."
Oh, I thought we were gonna stop using the language in the show.
Oh, I'm working on it. I have to drop one every
Damn
now
it.
and again.
Anyway, well, Texas is so Abbott decided to copy some of DeSantis's notes, not all of the best ones, but we do know that Greg Abbott is a World Economic Forum. He's Klaus's stooge, or I guess we're cussing now. He's his bitch, and he should be called out for it as much as possible, because I'm really disappointed in the Republicans of Texas for things like Dan Crenshaw and John Cornyn and Greg Abbott and all of these fakers. We don't need that crap anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a good turn with my words are escaping me. DeSantis. DeSantis is doing a really great job on the populist front. I'm actually really kind of surprised with Ted Cruz. He might actually be turning a new leaf. I don't know if he's just scared of being voted out of office or if he's growing some balls. But that guy's actually, he seems to be stirring up something new.
Ted's interesting because he's just one of those people that one day you like him and the next day you hate him, because he's really hard to predict, and supposedly is strictly for the Constitution, but I don't think he is. He plays it up. He acts that character. People eat it up. It works for his brand, but yeah, he is capable of good, and I appreciate that when it happens.
Yeah, so right now we've got an interesting one that that I did not know was going on. I didn't know how severe it was until Ted Cruz brought it up. But apparently you can't get over the border unless you go through the cartels. If you go through the cartels, they have a system set up to, especially with the ladies, the young women that come across the border, they're going into brothels basically right away. And it's basically the old style where, they have to pay for their sheets, they have to pay for their food, their housing. They're basically enslaved for upwards of 20 plus years, to what I understand. Do you have better updates of knowledge on that?
Border's a mess. I'm actually at the border right now. I mentioned that before. But the border has been a mess. The border, whenever people were saying that it was better under Trump, I would say, in my experience, it's the same border. I grew up in Texas, and the thing that they have to do, the key to all of this immigration nonsense is to stop incentivizing people to come over. Let them know that when you come over here, you'll have to go back unless unless you can go through the process. And they can make the process easier, but they need to keep the border shut, because we need to account for those that are coming across. And that's one of the main things, because the people that are coming across that way, there's a lot of victims in this process, but this is all run by criminals. The criminals won the border. I mean, this is more their border than it is the United States.
So, but what would be the solutions to that?
Stop giving incentives. If you come over here and you can't get a job, if you come over here and you can't get welfare, then they won't come over as much. Most of it's they're coming through Mexico, and the people that are enabling them to come over are Mexican cartels. But and not always. Sometimes it's other ways, but typically it's that. But a lot of times they're from other countries. They're from Guatemala and Honduras and places like that. Now, I was at a convenience store a couple of months ago, and I was in the same border town that I'm in right now. I don't want to give you all the details as to exactly where I'm at, but I was there, and this drug dealer came up to me, and he offered me some stuff, and I'm like, no, dude, I drive a truck. No way, man. And he's like, oh, you drive a truck? And he offered me money to get people across the border. And he's like, yeah, what we do is we send somebody through, they get busted, and then you just drive on through while they're dealing with the truck that has the person getting busted. I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. There's no way I'm going for this. And absolutely would not do that. And also, it ends your career. You go to prison for trafficking. You're doomed at that point. But a few weeks ago in San Antonio, I was on 35, and at the 410 loop, there was a lot of traffic. I went around it, and the next day I heard the news story about an entire truckload of immigrants. A few of them had died. They were trapped in the back of a truck. I don't know why the driver left them there in that way, but a few of them died. They were covered in steak seasoning, because I guess it smelled really bad in there, and they were just jam packed in there. I've heard several stories of people getting busted this way. Pretty crazy.
I had no idea about that stuff. But legislatively, how do we stop it?
They're talking about giving people.
The other question is, if we remove certain legislations, if we remove certain rules, will it solve itself? Because as libertarians, we want to get rid of as many rules as possible, right? Is
Well,
it
we also want to
possible
get
instead
rid
of
of the
fruit?
welfare that's causing this, because I guarantee you one of the main things that's drawing people, and it's not just from our southern border. Uh, People are coming from all over the world. There's programs that are enabling this that are funded mostly by George Soros, the Open Society, and it's enabled by Democrats who think that really, like, the idea is not necessarily to get them to vote, because a lot of them can't vote, even though the thing that they're talking about doing right now is giving them an ID so that they can, and giving them an ID so that they can get them on more programs. But they're still useful to them even if they're not voting. When you're bringing over people like they were bringing over tons of Haitians, you probably saw that with the video where the border patrolman was had the reins of the horse, and everybody's like, "Oh, they're whipping that guy! They're whipping that guy!" You remember that? But that was a bunch of Haitians, and I've heard of many situations where some Haitian immigrant just goes off and kills people, and it's pretty sketchy. But that's the thing that George Soros wants. He wants crime in the United States. He wants your culture eradicated, because your culture is one of the things that keeps them from taking full control. The whole idea of these people is globalism, that we're all some kind of global citizen, and in order to do that, you have to eradicate the philosophy that founded America. You have to eradicate the love of freedom, and also whenever they start needing enforcers to push all of these terrible New World Order ideas on us, um, you know, your brothers, sisters, cousins, friends, all those other people that you grew up with, they're not going to do that. The people in the military that are patriotic Americans, they're not going to do that stuff. But guess who will? Someone that came from a country that was fed off of cornmeal, that was coming in from, because we ruined their economy. That's another thing, is the other side of globalism is the United States corporations go over and abuse the heck out of a country, and then the United States sends food aid over to the country, and it's just like pasty cornmeal, and then we take immigrants, or we take war refugees from places that we're destroying. I've noticed several Afghanistan restaurants popping up all over the country lately.
Well, seriously, Afghanistan restaurants popping up.
Dude, it's good food. It is. It really is.
Well, hopefully I'll run into one. Well, hopefully I won't. I don't know where I stand
give
on
it a
that.
try, man. I would say
I
it is
definitely,
good food.
if I run across one, I will give it a try. I love foreign foods. I was raised as a Hindu, which was a really fun experience. So people that say that I'm uncultured, like F you, I was raised as a Hindu. I was raised, what was that? I was raised as a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Messianic Jew, and a Christian. So it just kind of gets all confusing and all. But I love the experience of all the different foods, and that's what makes America America. But also, what makes America America
Well,
is the fact that we can.
it doesn't. It doesn't. Like your point last week, or well, we did have a little bit more of a hiatus. We just couldn't connect. But your point last time that we spoke was about being a nation of immigrants. Well, I think that ended when the nation was founded. We have our own culture. We've had our own culture. It's not just hey, you bring your culture over here, and it's what you talked about. It's the culture of freedom. It's the culture that the founders built. It's the culture of opportunity. You still in there?
Yeah, exactly. It's a culture of opportunity. You did break up a little bit there, so that's why I turned it off. Turned myself off for a second just to see if it cleared up. But yeah, it's a culture of opportunity. It's a culture of pressing forward. But for me, the point I was trying to bring across is that it's very interesting that we can essentially approach the problem in two different ways. We can create more laws, which are going to have spill off problems, or we can reduce government involvement. Reducing government involvement, less welfare for
You
people that just come in willy nilly, less welfare for essentially everybody. It's like
no,
pick
you got to
yourself
make
up
it
by your
clear to people.
bootstraps.
You got to make it clear to people that if they're here without permission, that they are unwelcome and they will be sent back. That if you don't enforce your border, you don't have a nation. That's all there is to it. And I know people are super wishy-washy on this stuff, and because um, they seem to have all these other ideas, but I guarantee you that these ideas are just poison that is put on you in your schooling system or wherever else you get your ideas, because what they're trying to do is eradicate your culture and eradicate you.
Yeah, but the point that I'm trying to bring across is simply this: we don't have to create any new laws to deal with this problem. We just need to follow the laws that are already on the books. People so often just try to create new laws to try to deal with problems rather than actually enforce the laws that are on the books. More laws are not necessary to solve this problem. Just follow the laws that are already in place. It's simple. But
So,
these
Nate,
numbskulls,
where would you like to live? Like, you pick anywhere in the world. Just name something. Like where you want to go.
America, for me, like you and me have talked in the past, and I said if I had a second place that I would choose, it would be Israel. I listened to a Ben Shapiro podcast earlier this week, and I found out that their tax rate is exceedingly high, and it's really hard to start a business over there. So I give them props for being a resilient people that are able to actually produce a whole lot of stuff in a state the size of New Jersey, even in spite of high tax rates. But after I heard the high tax rate they pay, which is like 5% or more than ours, I was like, fuck. I'm America's the only place I want to be. Everywhere else is screwed. And we're screwed if we don't stand up. That's the main thing. We have to stand up.
Ben Shapiro is going to give you like a glitzy, glamorous version of this, even with that jagged pill that you just gave me. But yeah, they're a lot closer to socialism than capitalism over there, and it's really funny. I don't know that they're complaining about their taxes. Just makes me laugh. I'm sorry, but anyway, let's move on before I get us in trouble. The reason I ask this is because if you could choose a place, and it's anywhere, it's like why don't people move to Hollywood? Why don't they move to New York? I'm talking about these places whenever they were good before the scamdemic ruined everything. Whenever they were places to be, and it's because you can't afford it, right? Typically, that's why people don't go places, because they're like, hey, what if I can't get a job? It would be really rough on me if I'm in this new place and I don't have anything and I can't get a foothold. And I've done this probably like 100 times in my life. Go to a new place, find my way. Some places are easier than others. Some places are extremely difficult. The thing is, whenever someone is illegally in a place, then they should not be able to get a foothold so easily. And I've actually been illegal for a short moment. Whenever I was in New Zealand, my visa got invalidated because the company I worked for went under, and it was a visa contingent on me working there. So like my company that I worked with at the time sponsored me, and so they were gone, and I didn't have that anymore, and I had to sink or swim and figure it out. And it was a rough little time, but and otherwise though everything was worth it. I'm just saying that if things weren't so easy on that, then then we wouldn't have the problem. These people are incentivized by a lot of things, including bloated welfare state. So, and yeah, the welfare is insane in the United States.
Yeah, and it's so stupid watching. I just the amount of people that I encounter that are just like their noses are up in the air. I was like, their attitude is, "I'm way better than you," and they're just sitting on their butts doing nothing. And it's
Right.
like, seriously, like I'm working 70 to 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week, 7 days a week. And it's like, you guys can't. But like, why do you have this BS attitude towards me? You're literally sitting there having welfare so that you can hang around with your kids. It's like, great. It's good that you have kids, but actually have a family. You're a single mom doing nothing. Like
Yep.
you're just living off the state. What type of life is that? Are you actually
and
building yourself up? Are you actually trying to do something, create something, build something, move forward? That's the reason I have problems with so many Christians, because they're sitting there looking up to the skies, waiting for God to deliver them a heavenly gift. And
yeah,
it's
the whole
like,
point
God
is
gave you the abilities to actually go and make something of yourself.
right. If you don't make an effort and you just and you sit there and pray instead of making effort and actually doing something with your life, you're supposed to do something with your life. I don't know the exact verse. I bet you have it because you're really good at that. But there's a verse about that, about making things happen, and making your way in the world and not expecting others to take care of you.
One of them, a simple one is, well, this is a verse to live by. Without vision, the people perish. It's very simple. What's your vision?
Dude, I mean, my vision's so bright I gotta wear shades right now. But speaking of vision and dudes that wear shades, I heard that Brandon has caught the coof, and it was a couple of days after catching it again. No. This is not me reporting last weekend's news when Brandon caught the coof. He caught it again today.
Those vaccines are working marvelous miracles, aren't they? They're
Well,
the best
this is
vaccines you're
interesting.
ever heard of. The best, the best.
Yeah. So this is interesting because I do know a few people that they're calling them rebound cases. They like to put stupid words in front of everything, but there's two other people I know that have had rebound cases. The Dr. Fauci, and Stephen Colbert, and this is great because they're all people that have been complete tyrants for the last 2 years. But the thing that those three people have in common, other than being crappy tyrants, is that they all took Paxlovid. And Biden was bragging about the Paxlovid the other day, and here he is back with his sickness. This is what people get for trusting these pharmaceutical companies that they never should have trusted in the first place. Another story came out this week, and I think it was more of a reiteration of an old story because people have said this before, but the brain chemistry theory about serotonin and whatnot, it doesn't work the way that they've thought it works. So all these people that are on antidepressants don't really need them, and really probably just need to go outside every now and then. All right, looks like I have lost Mud. That's cool. I can keep talking about Brandon and how much of a disaster it will be when Kamala becomes president, but I kind of welcome it in a way because it's like you got to get to the next step. It's like yeah, we've got Brandon, and then Kamala comes along, and here's that. Uh, the woman spitting out pronouns describing where she's at. I guess she expected to have a lot of blind people in the audience and wants to be inclusive. Are we inclusive enough? I think maybe we should do our show in streaming braille. That way, everybody has access to it.
Well, this hat does have a texture to it, so it's actually embroidered. So if a blind person were to rub their hands over it, I think they may actually be able to figure out what's going on with the inverted all-seeing eye type terminology. And then the back of the T-shirt, it is a little bit textured, so they may be able, if they know Latin, to be able to figure out that the back of my T-shirt basically says "slay your rulers" or "slay the authoritarians." They might be able to figure out if, but it's going to be a very small subsection of the blind people. But yes, we need to make sure we're very inclusive in all things. So I just want to state very clearly, as Americans, "Don't tread on me" is kind of a standard. Also, don't push
I
me
wish
with
it
your
was.
opinions. Well, that's the root of it. It's just like, back the F off. That's kind of our attitude.
You saw the House?
That's the attitude of the flyover states that nobody wants to listen to. Back
Right,
the
but
F
you saw
off.
the
Leave
House
us the
that
F alone and let us actually build, produce, and create. We can build, produce, and create better if you guys get the F out of the way. Sorry.
The House most represents the flyover states because of the way it's made up, right? The House of Representatives. Yeah. So because of the way it's designed, this was the founders' intent that the House is set up in that way. Now, the House is passing a quote assault weapons ban. I hate the word assault weapons ban because I have some weapons, but I don't consider any of them assault weapons because I use my weapons to shoot pieces of paper with and to look cool.
Or vice versa. I'm pretty sure any weapon is actually an assault weapon. Just checking.
No, none of them are. Well, this is a problem with pronoun culture.
I have a couple swords. My swords are assault weapons. Like the only defensive weapon would be like shield or body armor. I'm just saying.
Oh, they're trying to ban that too.
But it doesn't make any sense. A body armor is not an assault weapon. Any weapon that is designed to attack, puncture, pierce, it's all assault.
But
I don't get it. It doesn't.
But they paint it in that light. That's their whole deal. Is they paint it in that light and they say it's an assault weapon, which is just stupid. Because they want to make you think that some guns are more dangerous than other guns. And the thing is, they're all dangerous and they should all be equally treated with respect. And speaking of weapons, I got this nice little blade right here. And I'm gonna cut into some things and do a nice little unboxing right here. Just to show you what a sucker I am for supposedly conservative Jews. This is some sheath underwear from the great Michael Malice. It is got a fuse right there. And it's not there to confuse, but these are the dynamite Michael Malice underwear. So there you go.
It is designed to cup your man parts.
Right. And yeah, I listen to a lot of shows that advertise these underwear. They're not paying us, but let's see. Ryan Long talks about them because Ryan Long's got a really long sack, so the pouch really helps with that. And then there's of course Michael Malice, Robbie the Fire, and Dave Smith. They all wear the sheath. So, I got to make sure to keep my boys in line, and I actually like them quite a bit for driving trucks and riding bicycles. And the other one is what's that show called? The Daily Wire, right? So because of the great Tom Woods, I had been a Harry's customer for a very long time, and then I caught that cool commercial for Jeremy's, and I was like, oh, dude, I got to get me some Jeremy's. And so I'm now unboxing a Jeremy's razor kit here. There you go. So it comes in this nice bag. I can't see where my camera is. There it is. Okay. It's a cool zipper bag, which is going to be great for me because my bathroom stuff goes in my luggage, and then I have to put it in my backpack whenever I'm taking a shower at the truck stop. So it needs to move back and forth a lot. So this bag is going to help me out quite a bit. I'm going to keep all the rest of my my bathroom stuff in there. So here we go. We're going to take a look at these fine Jeremy's razors. I've had these for a little while sitting in a mailbox, but I haven't been to where I received my mail lately, and got there today, early this morning. And yeah, yeah, it looks like, oh, that's a nice handle. Yeah, it feels good. I like it. Here's some blades. Come right in the kit. There you go. Blades. The blades look good from here. I haven't put them to my face yet, so I can't tell you anything else about them. But there's the handle and 4 blades in this part. I'll start digging for the rest of the stuff. Let's see. We've got ways to cut your beard.
They give you
that's here. Style. The styling guide right there.
So, styling guide. I'm just really curious. Did they include a youth pastor? Like the youth pastor goatee. Is that actually highlighted?
He is called the worship leader. I guess that is to be more inclusive. I think.
Yeah, they've got the worship leader. What are the different styles? The different styles.
There's 8 different styles. There's the lowercase, which is kind of like Jeremy himself's beard. There's the Knowles, which is completely shaven. The worship leader, as we just described. The Musketeer. The Old Salvador, which is the Salvador Dali. The Push Broom, which is a bushy mustache. The General, which is very much like mine.
So describe each one. So that Michael Knowles was clean shaven. What was the next one?
The worship leader, which is that goatee. The Musketeer, which looks like, the Musketeer look from whatever movie that was, right? The Old Salvador is like a Salvador Dali mustache, where, upturned mustache. I don't think kids today have even seen. But anyway, the Push Broom, which is like a bushy mustache. The General, which is a lot like mine, except for my tails are longer here. The Boy Band, which is a very thin goatee. The Honest Abe, which is kind of like a Mennonite beard that has no mustache attached to it. And the Dream of the 90s, which is just a sideburns and a soul patch. I hate hairy stickers.
So do you think that is what's your opinion? For me, like, this is like 4 months. I can't grow much. You've been able to grow much more than I have. What are your thoughts on their actual their little perspective there on mustaches and whatnot? Do you think it's fair?
I like it. I think that they should have made the General mustache look more like me, but that's how it is. I mean, I guess yours is probably closest to the Musketeer. I'm not sure what's in here. It might be more razors, but they gave me this little box here, and let's see what this is. This is cool. I love days whenever I get my mail. Oh, it's extra razors. So man, I'm well set up. I need to reduce the subscription because I'm gonna have these razors for a long time. I shaved the top of my head, so let's see here. So you see how bald I am? So yeah. So I do go through razors quick, but yeah. Shaving cream. Let's see how it smells. That's important. Oh man, I can use a knife for everything, but these stupid little pull tabs.
Yeah, I hate the pull tabs. I agree.
Yeah. Oh man. Smells good. It's a nice, mostly neutral scent. It doesn't smell chemically or anything like that.
Oh, that's good. That's actually kind of impressive that they didn't overpower it.
The post-shave balm says it is green tea and menthol, which is probably a good smell too, or a good lack of a smell, because I don't like things that smell too much. So the aftershave balm. Oh, this smells great. Yep. Yeah, it's mellow, it's mild, and it's got a card that says not to let your kids shave and to change your razor every 5 to 7 shaves. So I would say that I'm happy with this. Hang on just a moment. I'm gonna cough. There we go. Got it. But yeah, there we go. We I unboxed some stuff that I will, you know, like I got, if there's something out there, I'm just doing that thing. If I see something that's more conservative, not made by people that hate me, then I'm gonna buy it. And let's see, I got my phone subscription through Patriot Mobile. They're not paying. None of these people are paying us. And by the way, I don't give any advice on anything. But yeah, I try to do that as much as I possibly can. I try to advertise bands like, Diesel Automatic's a rapper, and other podcasts with my clothing. And in fact, I just got an email from New World Next Week .com, which is James Evan Pilato and James Corbett of Media Monarchy and the Corbett Report. And Media Monarchy has a new hat, and I ordered it the second I saw it. So I'm really excited about that. It's another hat for my my shiny head.
Speaking of people that we like representing, that are taking us, into the alternate sphere of, well, dang it, what did Dan Bongino called it? Created a new platform. I can't remember what it's called.
What?
Yeah.
Alternative media?
Alternative platforms, something along that lines. But where he's going with alternative to where it's getting away from, tying into this whole new system that just ties itself to the media narrative. I'm just really curious on that media narrative. What's going on with Biden and his eyes? I thought he had blue eyes, but I just saw a video of him not blinking for 30 minutes.
It's and the Paxlovid.
Look, does COVID now turn your eyes black? Is that what's going on? I'm really confused.
No, it's Paxlovid, dude. It's all the drugs that they got him on. They got him on meth. There's plenty of speculation that there's more than one Biden, and Biden's earlobes sometimes connect and sometimes don't connect, which is really weird. That little section earlobe right there. Most of the time I've seen him recently, his earlobes are connected, but in his old videos, he doesn't even look like the same guy. Like if you took that guy from early 2000s or longer ago and progress age to now, I don't think it's the same man. I have some weird ideas on this. I don't have any evidence whatsoever. This is just all just fantasy made up stuff. So they've got Bidens that they make in a lab, and since they're making them really fast, they get more and more retarded each time. So that's what we're dealing with.
Well, it gets more and more retarded each time, but also it doesn't make any sense because apparently we've got time dates for the earlier video where he looks normal and is talking normal, even though he's saying a load of bullshit. And then we've got the later video where he doesn't blink at all. And those were apparently shot in the same day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty weird. The other thing is, before he got sick, he announced that he is going to be making some sort of climate declaration, climate emergency, and I've been really, really worried and concerned about this because I've seen the other countries, the Netherlands, Sri Lanka, and Canada. They introduced nitrogen quota, and these nitrogen quotas are very dangerous. It could mean the end to a lot of things if that actually gets enforced. I don't think we'll let it get enforced. Hopefully that don't tread on me nature comes back and we grow a pair and resist the evildoers. But yeah, this is a real concern.
But what does it look like to actually push back against this? I mean, to me, it's just, let me just say, from my perspective, it's a common person learning how to build their credit score, be able to buy land, etc. And then to me, that's the simplest step, is just to start buying your own land.
It's a real problem.
Buying your own property.
So if you don't already know this, but the investment firms, BlackRock and Vanguard, have been buying up the homes. In fact, we've talked about it. So they've been driving the market artificially. We've got a lot of problems right now with inflation and devaluation of the dollar. We're fighting battles that we shouldn't be involved in whatsoever. The economy is pretty much in the toilet. It's a really difficult time, and funny enough, it happens to be the exact time that I've got my stuff together the most, and so it's very worrisome.
Yeah, but from a different perspective, because in my opinion, you're a little bit more black-pilled than I am.
Probably a lot. I mean, I'm a lot more black-pilled than most people. But it's because I see it. You know, I can see all the things happening. I can see all the wheels turning. In fact, whenever there is a resistance here, it'll be a resistance because they want one, and that's what's happened in Sri Lanka. It's old boss out, new boss in, and it's the same guy. Basically, they're both puppets of the World Economic Forum. We have to resist this in small enclaves is the best way to do it, and it's really difficult in a society that's been globalized as much as ours has. Well,
here, because you and me over the last year and a half have talked about Christianity a fair bit, and I let me break it down in my annoyance with the Christian church. The Christian church is not building people up to be successful. They're building people up to be comfortable and happy. The Christian church is not building people up to create new things. In essence, the reason I'm really annoyed with the Christian church in America, I've not been in the Christian church. I've visited Mexico once, but the church in America is essentially getting people to look up to the sky and wait for and wait for answers, wait for a father to come down. That would be the Arminian side. And the other side, dang it, I can't remember the other phrase for it, but the more Baptist side of things, they're managerial class. They just manage things. No side of the church is actually encouraged to create and to build. And that's why I'm so effing annoyed with the Christians. I I study the Bible for 3 to 4 hours a day for 10 years. I know more about the Bible than most pastors. Not, I can't recite more I can't recite more verses than them. That's not necessarily what I mean, but I have a deeper insight because I did not go to college and get corralled into a certain way of thinking. The first thing God tells us in Scripture is that we're created in His image. And the first thing that He tells us about, the first thing that God tells about us about Himself is that He created the heavens and the earth. And then the first thing that God tells us about us, human beings, is we're created in His image. We're meant to be creators and doers. And everything the government and the church is pushing onto you is be obedient, obey, comply, manage. Nothing about building something new.
Yeah, I think it's due to a poor interpretation of Romans 13 that has this whole comply mentality, and that's one of the reasons why people are that way. And they all got injected, and all the churches are going woke, and I've seen videos of tranny pastors and ridiculousness. Like I've seen all kinds of stuff, but every church is its own church, and I can't go to each one and tell them what's wrong with them, why they're wrong. There's obviously some egregious violators, but I know that there's people out there doing good. I listen to the LifeSpring audio Bible every day, and I was recently
that's awesome.
I was recently emailing Steve, and we were talking about how the world is going to crap, but he mentioned that I need to remember that God's on the throne, and these things are meant to happen for a reason. And there's been tumultuous times all throughout. There's peoples in the Bible that they've dealt with things that we couldn't even fathom. And if things are going the way that they could be heading, then we're going to be dealing with things that we can't even imagine at this level.
But that sentence that you just said is part of my criticism of the church.
What's that?
We're going to be dealing with things that we can't even fathom. We should be ready for it. We are His hands, we are His feet. Faith is the act of pressing into the promise. I so believe God that I press into the promise as hard as I can, and you and me have talked off screen plenty of times. You know how hard I'm pressing in. And grace is God's power to enable us to get through the mountain. So the mountain that's in front of us, by God's grace, makes itself flat. And by God's grace, that valley raises itself up and makes itself level. So the mountain goes flat, the valley goes level, raises itself up, and we're walking on a straight path. It's by faith that we press into that promise, and it's God's grace that enables us to walk through it. We don't have a victimhood mentality. We walk forward and we press forward. That's the American spirit in my mind. We look at the chip problem that's happening with Taiwan, where China's threatening that, and we say, screw it. We're not going to just simply, this is where I want America to get to. We don't need the government to subsidize chip manufacturing. We just effing do it.
Or we just make things without chips. Cars worked great in the 80s and 90s.
Why not?
Didn't need
Those
all
are my
stuff.
favorite trucks. My favorite truck was my early 80s trucks. Oh, no, I think it was the 87 was my favorite.
Yeah, I've got a 30-year-old van, and it's it's great that you don't have to worry about a computer. You might not be able to get the kind of stuff that makes the refrigerant work so that you can have cold air, but it's still, man, I would rather have an old vehicle than a new one.
Well, the
I see
older
all this
vehicles
stuff as,
also had those
yeah.
little panels that you could tip out on the inside, and that way it would allow the air to come in.
Yeah, oh,
That was great.
that's how my van is. Yeah. The triangle windows. Yep. And I'm really grateful. My stepdad has been helping out with my van since I'm always on the road. I just order parts, and he loves working on old stuff, so he's really happy to do it, and I'm throwing him some bucks for it, so that's really cool.
But that's kind of my point. Instead of sitting there complaining and trying to pursue comfort, pursue a different type of comfort.
Well,
There's a
you and
different.
I have another thing in common, and that's the long bike rides. I rode bikes all over this country and camped the entire way, and you know that is all about putting the work in. You don't just instantly get there. It's one of the cool things about what I do right now is I'm jamming over 600 miles.
Just to clarify, me and Andy O are talking about bicycle rides, not
Yep.
motorcycles.
Right, bicycles.
Bicycles.
And it's putting in the work. You're putting in work. To get 100 miles in a day on a bicycle is an accomplishment for sure. And I'm getting about 650 in a truck. So in a long day, a really long day. But I was putting in days of that length on a bicycle, and it's cool because it's you're earning experiences with your body, and that is it's a really cool thing. I can't wait until I can take a moment and hit the road again by bicycle. I have a pretty much brand new touring bike waiting for me, and I've hardly even got to ride it. But
do you have a steel frame or aluminum frame?
It's a steel frame. It's a Surly. It's the
Oh,
man,
nice.
Yeah, it's
Is it the ice cream truck? Which Surly?
It's very similar, man. Why can't I remember what the name is? That's how often that I get to see the darn thing is. I can't even remember which brand it is. It is the Pugsley.
Okay, I've seen a Pugsley
Yeah, it's
before, but
related
the
to the ice
Pugsley, I
cream
thought
truck.
the Pugsley was a fat tire one.
It is a fat tire one.
Do
And
you
I
have
wanted,
the road handlebars?
yeah, it's got they're kind of like that, and then they have two little places for to grab it right there, but this in the middle, and it's a really nice place for a bar bag. It's a fun bike to ride. Uh, I just don't get to ride it enough. I was when I was doing dedicated for a little while in California, I used it as a grocery getter and getting around California. But I never got to do anything major with it.
Oh, on live. I have an idea. Let's try to do a handlebar wrap tape to support this live stream.
Handlebar wrap tape. What? Are we gonna wrap? What are you talking about here?
So where our first good that people can order would be handlebar wrap tape to wrap the bars in.
I don't think we're gonna make it to the phase of merchant. I'm just happy to do this as a hobby. But if we ever do, yeah, that sounds cool.
With the gas
BBB
and
wrap
flag,
tape. Yeah.
The gas and flag or something like that. That would be fun.
Yeah. One of my friends got some snakeskin wrap on her bike, and that looked really cool. It's related. But yeah, I miss cycling and vanning around and all the crazy stuff that I do. But I do love my job though. It's a great time.
Yeah, but to circle back, how did that lady get that? Jen Psaki got circled back into our vocabulary. Golly, still annoying to circle back, but to circle back, To me, the idea that we're looking at what we're facing with this incompetent leadership and all this other stuff, the one way to stand up to it is to actually build, create, do something new. Don't stand there and just be doom and gloom. Like, what can be done with what's in front of us? That's why I like what Steve Bannon was doing, was encouraging people to run in the lower state offices, to get judges in, the small states that people, the small state offices that people weren't paying attention to, getting
Right.
getting the education sectors filled. There's stuff we can do. We don't have to just look at the government and just be like, oh, the top of the government is shite. We can look at the
Yeah,
bottom.
he's great. He's got this. He's got a lot of ideas, and what he does is, how I was talking about paying attention, and that being one of the biggest problems with conservatives is they don't pay attention. They let somebody like Dan Crenshaw slide by and get away with this stuff because he's nailed the grift down perfectly.
Yeah, no, I at the beginning I was like, Dan Crenshaw, that guy's awesome. I want him to be my next president. And I think it was about 6 months ago I went, oh, this guy sucks.
All the intellectual dark web guys were on about him too, because he was on Rogan and Brett Weinstein and all those guys were all about it. But this guy's bad news, and yeah, we gotta pay attention. We gotta catch these things. We gotta catch them in the primaries, because I mean, really, like when it comes to who's being offered, it's always going to be a mess, and that might not even really be the solution. But I know Texas would be a lot better off right now if the guy running for governor was Don Huffines, and I couldn't even get libertarians to support Don Huffines, and they were like, oh no, I got to still vote in this irrelevant third party. To support Don Huffines. I mean, it's going to be really good for Texas. No, they still want to play in that filthy sandbox of nothing. And even though there's been a lot of small victories there lately, I don't see it being a tool. It's just not. It's not going to be a good enough tool to do what they want to do with it. We'll see. I wish them the best. I love a lot of those people, but I don't understand why we can't support liberty conservatives like Thomas Massey and Rand Paul and great people like that.
Part of it is that we don't have the vision to, like, Proverbs. I can't remember the exact verse, but Proverbs says, "Without vision, the people perish." Mentioned it earlier. We don't have the vision to, because we're so constrained. We think we're going to fail is the mentality I think we have. I think that the mentality we have is we think it's going to fail, rather than saying, what does it look like to succeed? What does it look like to put somebody forward that's going to take, like Matt Gaetz? Holy shite. That Matt, you saw that Matt Gaetz clip, right? Where he started playing.
I'm not. With the lady, right? Like she was going on about pregnant women or pregnant men or something weird like that.
No. Matt Gaetz basically just straight up went, and he was just like, "You see those women that are opposing abortion? They're all fat and ugly. Screw them. Let's just call them out for being fat and ugly."
Okay.
And then Scott Adams on one of his live streams, he was sitting there talking about it, and he went, "Why don't we just get Trump and Matt Gaetz? Trump be the next president, Matt Gaetz be the vice president, and we just do a no apologies tour."
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't think I don't. I think that whenever you get put on the back foot, that's exactly where they want you to be. So you got to be brazen out there. You and I were talking about this before the show, and in the intro, whenever we did our best Kamala, as I like to call her, impression. Um, I said irrational and repugnant, and that's because the Libertarian Party said that bigotry was irrational and repugnant, and they had that in their platform for a long time, and so that was a thing that has been made fun of, and we're talking about the Tom McDonald song, his new song about names. You can call us all kinds of stuff. And like, fine, I'm gonna embrace being irrational and repugnant for you because I don't like this trans nonsense. I don't like any of the stuff that's going on here, and you're gonna use calling me a bigot because I don't think that preschool teachers should be telling kids what their gender is. And sorry, no, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. These people are repulsive. They need to not be taken seriously, and you don't need to be getting offended or worried that people are going to think that you're a bad person or whatever whenever they start telling you that you're something, whenever we're the reasonable ones. We're the good people. And screw that. I'm not accepting that. I'm not going to accept any of it. If you want to call me anything you want, I'm just going to laugh it off. I'll embrace it. I will walk right into it. Yeah, I'm a Christian nationalist, by the way. That's the new thing. Yeah, I am. Screw you.
Christian nationalist. You bigot?
Yeah, I'm a bigot. I'm a Christian nationalist.
And you're on the stream right now with somebody who's 1/4 Colombian. Apparently I'm racist against myself. Holy shit.
Uh-oh. Jeez.
It's still throwing me for a loop. Like, I got called a sexist and it was racist by my mom, and I was just like, what are you talking about? How can I be racist against myself? It doesn't make any sense. There's no good arguments on that other side.
Well, it's a tool. So that's what they get you to. They get you in this position, and they're like, oh, it's all about tolerance. And what they do is they increase this tolerance nonsense on you until they introduce something that's just intolerable, and then they go back to the way it was before, whenever it was just this tiny little imposition, and they treat you like you're overreacting to some tiny little imposition whenever it's something enormous, like the way these teachers are to the kids at this point. And that is no way to win. It's no way to go forward. Where we're at, they're setting everybody up to fight because they want us fighting, so we don't realize who the real problem is.
Well, they set it up to where we fight among ourselves rather than actually fight against what the actual the actual enemy is. It's a brilliant plan of theirs. The elites are pitching the battle against, are making us fight between ourselves rather than the commies. For some reason, the commies don't realize that they'll be the first ones that are eaten.
Well, the funny thing about commies, and the same thing with this tolerance thing, is they go, oh, you're a reactionary. Well, yeah, I'm reacting against communism, and I don't want it. So get it away from me. Screw you. So, yeah, I'm a reactionary. I'm a Christian nationalist. Screw you all.
Oh, that and just to clarify on the Christian nationalist point of view, if there's a Muslim near you, you don't want to kill him. You don't want to have any issues with him. You don't care. You just don't want. Well, like, there was a interesting one where apparently in certain UPS post offices, they're creating prayer rooms for Muslims.
Yeah, I think the funny part about all of this is like the real devout Muslims they're not about this kind of nonsense. This is more of back to the open society Soros nonsense where they're trying to push this stuff. I was listening to a show earlier. They were talking about whenever they started putting all these Muslim immigrants into France, and women dress a certain way in France that is pretty provocative to the eye, and these Muslim immigrants are all of a sudden making life very dangerous for those women, and that's all by design. There's so many things that they're designing into this situation where crime is tolerated, but your values aren't. And we're in a bad position right now, and we need to pay attention. Pay attention to who is betraying you. You got to know who's betraying you and where, because these guys are making a ton of money, getting all of the support, and they've got power. They've got real power, and they don't deserve it. They don't deserve your power. They don't deserve your voice. So find out who the bad guys are. And we've talked about a lot of them. And there's many, many more. The world is a mess right now. So find out who's going to try to get you to drink cockroach milk. I just saw that in the news this week, is that they're talking about insect milks. And so it's not just enough to try to get a staff to eat these bugs. They want us to drink the milk of these bugs, and then they're telling us that it's good for us. This is some crazy times, and it doesn't look like Mud's coming back. So I guess I'm going to close it right here. It's been a little over an hour now. Oh, there he is. So I was just starting to wrap up. I didn't know if you were coming back or not.
For some really weird reason, my phone, which has been inside of a house with air conditioning,
it overheated.
It overheated. I was like, what the crap's going on?
Dang. Well, anyway, it's been a good time, and hopefully we'll be back next week. Sorry for the hiatus. I was on vacation, but I did have a couple of moments that I could have recorded, but Mud couldn't record at those moments, so it didn't work out. I could have had a really good background last week because I was on the coast, and I had a hotel room overlooking the ocean, so it was really awesome. But
so that's what
next time.
This is what happens when you're working your butt off to actually create something and build something.
We're just talking our stuff, you know. I like I said, I consider this a hobby, and I love it. I love being able to just take all the stuff I listen to, because I listen to shows almost the entire time I'm driving. I'm listening to podcasts, and those could be up to 11-hour days, and I listen to a lot of great shows. I have a schedule of people that I listen to all the time. I listen to Ron Paul every day. I listen to Media Monarchy every day. I listen to Pete Quinones every day. I listen to Propaganda Report, both with and without Monica. They kind of had a split. It's not a bad split. It's just a scheduling kind of conflict. But you can listen to Monica do her deep dives, and then Brad does the news of the day. A lot of times with Cam Harless, and yeah, a lot of great shows. The weekly shows are awesome. Shout outs to the History Homos. Dudes are hilarious. And Wicked Planet has really gone up my list quickly. Counterflow with Buck Johnson. Let's see. There's so many good shows. Year Zero. Tommy is all about understanding the ESG and all the stuff that the globalists have coming towards us. So yeah, all these shows are awesome. I'll give you a list if you ever ask me.
Yeah, well, and the fun thing is, and this is what I like, is for me, I don't try just to listen to everybody that I have an agreement with. you have a different group of people you listen to. I think commonly you and me both listen to Tom Woods, right?
Yep. That is our bridge for sure.
And for me, I listen to the beginning of the day. I listen to Sticks and Hammer 666. Then I listen to Scott Adams. My next show is Dave Rubin. The next show after that is Ben Shapiro. Then generally after that, I listen to Tom Woods. And then I listen to The News and Why It Matters by that's on the Blaze TV, which is Glenn Beck's program. And I sprinkle in some Glenn Beck. And I always watch every single one of Michael Malice's shows. So
I think though one of the most important things I catch every week is Grand Theft World. It's a week in review. It's 7 hours. I can listen to it double speed though, so it's 3.5 hours for me. But Richard Grove is brilliant, and Tony Mears as well.
Well, I don't have anybody except for Scott Adams to listen to tomorrow, and I have at least 4 hours of work tomorrow. So please send me that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. And Sunday, being tomorrow is Sunday. That's when History Homos are up, and then and Legal Man's great to listen to as well. But yeah, there's so many good shows out there, and I can find something that anyone would like.
Well, it doesn't matter just what anybody likes. It matters to listen to people that challenge you. Don't get stuck into a bubble. That's the main thing. If you get stuck into a bubble, you never learn, you never grow. You're only listening to an echo chamber. If you feel like you're in an echo chamber, that's a problem. You're never going to be able to actually make something more of yourself. You're just going to be.
That's what our show is about. We're kind of a bridge of a gap of two offshoots of something similar.
The black pill and the white pill.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily that, but you're in a lot more of a what you're into is more classic liberal, and I'm looking at some either hard libertarian or right wing, like hard right wing stuff, and I think that there's a lot of places where we don't agree on things, but we can always have a great conversation because we're good friends as well.
For sure. So, on that note, this has been Burn, Babylon Burn, and hey, it's lucky number 13, and I think it's been our best podcast yet.
I hope so.
Grace be with you. Peace out.
Thanks.